Hey, my name is Parker, and welcome back to Tech Talk Tuesday. Today, we're going to be continuing our virus mini-series, but we're going to be switching up the format a little bit. Today, we're going to be getting a little bit more granular, as opposed to the attempted high-level summaries that we have been doing in the past. I feel as though it might be more interesting, but we'd like to hear from you guys, so let us know in the comments or by whatever other means whether or not you prefer this level of detail or the previous high-level overview type format. So today's topic is broken access control. It's the next item on the 2017 OWASP Top 10 Vulnerabilities list. So to start, what is broken access control? Well, it's effectively where someone or something has the ability or permissions to execute an operation outside of the intended scope. I'm going to draw from a video put out by the YouTube channel F5 Dev Central, in which they highlight the distinction between broken access control, today's topic, and broken authentication, which was a previous topic. Broken authentication concerns itself with the verification of a user, making sure that they are who they are. And broken access control concerns itself with the permissions that a user or thing has to operate with after authentication has occurred. Now, at this point, this is where we're going to get into a little bit more detail. So, we have our issue. And that is broken access control. How do we fix it? Well, simply put, you make sure that the permissions or the access is controlled and not broken. In the words of the OWASP article that we will be linking, you enforce access control. Now, let's say you have software that you're writing. You can think back to any software that you're writing. All of your variables, functions, classes, they have permissions, they have scope, whether it be contained within a for loop or their private variables, whatever it is, they have some form of restriction. Now, if you also think back on to some of the software that you've written, then you might recall how annoying that is to have to manage those things. So the first thing that we want to do when we implement our fix enforcing access control is we want to take into consideration the various aspects of our circumstance. How many users are there? How many files are there? How's it going to scale, etc. So like any software, we're going to start off with design. And we're going to be utilizing various access control design patterns. The first one that we're going to examine, which is our topic for today, is discretionary access control. So let's dive into what that means. All right, so discretionary access control. What this is it's when the creator of some particular resource can manage the permissions of that resource. That says permissions. The creator can manage the permissions of the resource with respect to the other users. Now, sometimes the control of which the creator gets over this particular resource can sometimes be restricted by various security governing rules. But not always. Now, what we're going to do is down here, as we explore this topic, we are going to make ourselves a pros and cons table. That way we can help determine when we may or may not want to use this particular design pattern. Okay, so let's use a pretty basic example. It will consist of 3 users and 3 files. And we're going to represent this using a matrix. Assume that user 1 created file 1, user 2 created file 2, and user 3 created file 3. Also assume that as such, that each of them have read, write, execute, and manage permissions for their particular files. Oh, sorry, read, write, execute, manage. All right, so that brings us to our first pro, which is that each user has power to manage their own files. And consequently, that means it's easy for the admin to manage. Now, next week, we're going to get into a little bit more detail with the pros and cons here, but unfortunately, we are out of time for the moment. For those of you who are interested, feel free to read up in advance on discretionary access control. But as always, thanks for tuning in. This has been Tech Talk Tuesday, and we will see you next week.